Someone lifts a phone at the table, and before the shot is even framed, your whole body changes. You straighten up, fix your face, stop mid-sentence. The photo doesn't exist yet, but the moment already stopped feeling like yours. If you're a Xennial, this reflex has been building for 20 years, and you've probably never once stopped to name it. You grew up in the last stretch of human history where most moments simply disappeared after they happened. A bad joke at a barbecue lived in 4 guys' memories for a week, and then it was gone, absorbed back into ordinary, forgotten life. No copy, no backup, no second version floating around somewhere you couldn't control. Now, every room you walk into has at least one lens pointed somewhere near you. Your own phone is quietly logging where you've been all day without asking your permission first, without ever once popping up a box that says, "Is this okay with you?" You built your entire nervous system in a low visibility world, and somewhere around your late 20s, the visibility got turned up to maximum, all at once, with no adjustment period and no warning label. You're not imagining this. You're not being paranoid. You're reacting to something real. Here are 7 signs you're tired of being perceived. Sign 1, you'd rather tell 1 or 2 people than post to everyone. Something good happens, a promotion, a clean scan at the doctor, your kid finally sleeping through the night without waking up screaming at 2 a.m. 10 years ago, you'd have posted it. Now your first move is a text to your buddy or just your wife across the kitchen table. 1 person, not 300. Broadcasting used to feel like sharing. Now it feels like opening a comment section on your own life. You already know what's waiting in there. The polite congratulations sitting next to the quiet comparison. The relative who'll ask why you didn't mention it sooner. So you keep the good news small on purpose. Small feels safer. Small still feels like it's actually yours. Sign 2. Red receipts make you feel trapped. You see the message. You know you should answer, but opening it starts a clock only the other person can technically see, and somehow you feel it too, sitting right there in your chest while you stall. Silence used to just mean you were busy. Now silence gets read, analyzed, taken personally. Digital communication doesn't just deliver the message anymore. It reports back what you did after you got it, whether you opened it, whether you're online right now, whether you started typing and then stopped, mid-thought, changed your mind. Researchers who study this call it reactive pressure. A private choice quietly turned into a public performance of how much you care. You didn't sign up to be monitored for how fast you love people back. Nobody ever asked if that was a system you wanted. Sign 3, you hate being photographed without warning. Someone lifts a phone at a barbecue or mid-pickup game, and your hand goes up before your brain even catches why. Not a big reaction, just enough to turn your shoulder, angle your face, buy yourself a half second of control back. It's not vanity, it's control. A camera without warning takes the choice away from you entirely. How you're seen, in what moment, for how long. That photo doesn't disappear. It sits in someone's camera roll, waiting for a random Tuesday to resurface in a group chat you're not even part of, attached to a caption you didn't write. You grew up in the window where a bad angle just evaporated the second the moment passed. Now, a bad angle is a permanent record you never agreed to. Sign 4, being monitored at work makes you disproportionately angry. A tracking dot, keystroke software, a status light that turns yellow because you stepped away for 11 minutes, even though everything on your list is already done and you know it. You know your reaction is bigger than the software deserves. You can't quite talk yourself down from it anyway. Even standing there telling yourself it's just a status light, it's not personal, it doesn't mean anything. Here's why. Many Xennials were handed real independence early, walking home alone, holding down the house, staying alive until an adult got back, with nobody checking whether your mouse moved every 11 minutes, whether your status light was green or yellow, or anything at all. Now, decades later, software needs proof you were present at 2:17 in the afternoon, sitting exactly where you're supposed to be sitting. Researchers studying workplace surveillance have found that this kind of monitoring triggers something called psychological reactance. Your brain reads the loss of autonomy as a threat, not an inconvenience. It's not the dot, it's what the dot implies. That your word isn't enough anymore, that competence needs a paper trail before anyone will believe it. Sign 5, you feel exhausted by having to maintain a visible identity. LinkedIn face, family group chat face, the version of you that comments on your kids' soccer photos, cheerful and brief and appropriate, careful not to say anything that could be read the wrong way by the wrong person. Before all this, different parts of your life stayed separate. Your boss knew the work you. Your oldest friend knew the guy from 2004, mistakes and all, no filter needed. Your family knew someone else entirely, and your neighbors barely knew you existed, which honestly was fine by everyone involved. Now your boss, your ex, your uncle, and a guy from a wedding you barely remember can all watch the exact same post, land at the exact same moment. Psychologists call this context collapse. You call it exhausting because you're expected to hold one permanent, publicly acceptable version of yourself for every single person you've ever known, all at once, without ever getting to just be slightly different depending on the room. Sign 6. You increasingly prefer connection without an audience. A group chat with 4 guys you've known since high school beats one with 40 acquaintances you barely talk to. A phone call beats a public comment thread every single time. No contest. This gets misread as withdrawal. It isn't. You are not disappearing from people. You are disappearing from audiences. There's a real difference, even if nobody ever taught you the distinction. Posting less doesn't mean caring less. It means you finally figured out, without ever consciously deciding it, that being known by 4 people beats being glanced at by 400. Sign 7. Airplane mode feels like a small vacation. You flip the switch, and something in your shoulders drops that you didn't tell it to drop. No pings, no receipts ticking, no dot tracking your movement across a screen somewhere, no light turning yellow because you dared to step away from the desk. For a few minutes, you're unreachable, unrecorded, unperceived. It doesn't feel like missing out. It feels like finally being allowed to exhale, like someone quietly turned the volume down on a room you didn't even realize had been loud this whole time. Maybe that's why an unplanned afternoon can feel strangely luxurious. No photos, no updates, no evidence that you were there. You eat, walk, laugh, get home, and the day leaves no public trace. For once, nothing has to become a memory for anyone else before it can belong to you. None of this means you're broken, or bad at adapting, or somehow worse at modern life than everyone around you who seems fine with it, effortlessly, without a second thought. It means you spent the first half of your life in a world where being unseen was the default, and the second half in one where being seen constantly is the default, and nobody gave you a transition period between the two. Nobody sat you down and explained the rules had changed. You just woke up one day inside a different world, still running the operating system you built as a kid. You're not tired of people. You've never been tired of people. You're just tired of the audience. Maybe you don't actually want to disappear. Maybe you just want one part of your life that doesn't need to be witnessed, documented, or approved of before it feels real. One thing that stays yours, simply because nobody else ever saw it happen. If more than 3 of these hit close, you already know which one. Tell me in the comments which sign got you.